Part 55. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 541. Precisely because Li Jiancheng knew Li Yuanba's strength, if there was anyone in the Tang army who could stop Li Yuanba, then that person could only be Pei Yuanqing. Therefore, what Li Jiancheng put in front of Li Jiancheng became a multiple-choice question: either let Pei Yuanqing defend Luocheng, so that he would not have to worry about Luocheng going south to attack Chang'an, but the battle with the Dragon Kingdom in Yangzhou would undoubtedly be defeated. Either bring Pei Yuanqing to Yangzhou to resist Li Yuanba. Although it is possible that he will have the capital to fight the Dragon Kingdom on the battlefield in Yangzhou, once Luocheng makes a sneak attack on Chang'an, he will also fall into a situation of no return. Of course, Li Jiancheng could also stick to Chang'an and stand still, but in this case, Li Yuanji had just been defeated by the Dragon Kingdom in Yangzhou. How could Li Jiancheng, as the newly appointed emperor of the Tang dynasty, convince the public if he didn't respond at all? In addition, if Li Jiancheng does not take advantage of the current situation when the Dragon Kingdom has few troops to eliminate them, once it is delayed for a long time, they consolidate their rule in Jiangdong and prepare more troops, then the Tang dynasty wants to defeat the Dragon Kingdom will be more difficult. Therefore, no matter which path he chooses, Datang may be completely defeated, which makes Li Jiancheng very depressed. He really didn't expect that the Tang dynasty, which seemed to have a strong army and had been invincible since the beginning of the army, might be destroyed not long after he became emperor. Just when Li Jiancheng was worried about this, Qin Kaiyan came out of the crowd and said to Li Jiancheng, "Your Majesty, Luocheng is my cousin. When I was in Beiping Mansion, I often competed with Luocheng in martial arts, and they were evenly matched. Therefore, I am willing to go to Yuzhou to help His Majesty persuade Luocheng to completely surrender to the Tang dynasty. Even if he is unwilling to defect to the Tang dynasty, Luocheng will be lenient because of his past friendship and the face of his aunt. Therefore, if I are to take action, dragging the army should live in Yuzhou." Li Jianben thought that with Luocheng, he would have no chance of attacking Yangzhou. Unexpectedly, Qin Kaiyan actually stepped forward and said that he could hold Luocheng back, and he was overjoyed. However, since Qin Kaiyan was Li Shifu, Li Jiancheng still didn't trust him somewhat, fearing that he would never return by going to Yuzhou to persuade Luocheng to surrender, and would attack Chang'an with Luo. Therefore, Li Jiancheng did not completely follow Qin Kaiyan's suggestion, but said to him, "Since General Qin has such a relationship with Luocheng, I don't have to worry. However, Yuzhou is far away from Chang'an, and General Qin went to Yuzhou to persuade him to surrender. Luocheng will definitely waste a lot of time by going back and forth, and the King of Qi is currently waiting for my reinforcements in Lucca. Therefore, although persuading Luocheng to surrender is important, it is not the most important thing at the moment. It can be postponed temporarily, but General Qin, you can use your relationship with Luocheng to guard the north for me and prevent Luocheng from attacking Chang'an. I believe that with General Qin's character, since he promised me that he could stop the Yuzhou army, he shouldn't break his promise, right?" Qin Kaiyan heard this. Knowing that Li Jiancheng still didn't trust him, he immediately knelt on one knee and said, "My minister Qin Kaiyan will definitely do what he says, and I will never let Luocheng step into Chang'an." When Li Jiancheng saw Qin Kaiyan saying this, he don't say anything more distrustful. So he said, "Okay, then I will order General Qin to be the commander-in-chief. Together with Chen Yaojin, he will lead an army of 100,000 to guard the border of Yuzhou to prevent Luocheng from going south." To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 542. Qin Kaiyan and Chen Yaojin immediately replied, "I obey the order." Li Jiancheng also knew Qin Kaiyan and others quite well. He knew that Chen Yaojin and Qin Kaiyan had grown up and had a good relationship. Therefore, With Qin Kayang as the intermediary, the relationship between Chen Yaojin and Luo Cheng should be good, so he sent both Chen Yaojin and Qin Kayang to defend Luo Cheng. After systematically deploying Luo Cheng's Yuzhu army, Li Jiancheng was finally in the mood to arrange an attack on Yangzhou. Lu Wuzhu, Yu Qigong, and Wang Bodang. The three of you are my vanguard generals and will accompany me to fight against the Dragon Kingdom. In addition, Pei Yuanqing is the guard in front of the palace and is responsible for my protection. The three of you, Su Mogong, Fang Xianling, and Du Ruhuai, will go out together as the accompanying military advisors. We will set out with troops tomorrow. Since arrangements have been made for Luo Cheng, the officials naturally had no objection to Li Jianquan's order, so they accepted the order in unison and began to prepare for sending troops the next day. At the same time, in Yangzhou in the south of the Yangtze River, Lu Feng brought General Wolong, Guo Xia, Wei Zheng, Shan Xiangzin, Li Yuanba, Li Ziyuning, Chang Sun Wujiao and others to a forest outside Yangzhou city. Even Sun Yu, who had been guarding Wuxing County, was transferred by Lu Feng and now stood behind Lu Feng with Guo Xia. Wei Zheng, Li Ziyuning and others looked at Lu Feng, who was standing with his hands behind his hands and looking up at the sky, with his back to the crowd. They were a little confused. Although Li Yuanji had withdrawn his troops and the south had been unified, there was no fighting for the time being. But Li Jiancheng will not give up. After a short period of calm, it won't take long for him to lead the Tang dynasty's million-strong army south to start a final decisive battle with the Dragon Kingdom. At this time, although the south was settled, it was still in a solid position, especially since the army currently guarding Liang was not a direct descendant of Long. If Li Jiancheng made careful arrangements to enter Yuzhang and other places to advocate rebellion, it would inevitably cause some trouble. Therefore, Lu Feng, as the emperor of the Dragon Kingdom, should not lead everyone to consolidate the forces, and train these soldiers as soon as possible into a reliable unit with certain combat effectiveness. But why would he bring everyone here to see the sky? In this regard, Wei Zheng couldn't help but think of Lu Feng's excuse when he let him lurk next to Li Jiancheng and instigate him to kill Li Shimin, to watch the sky at night. At that time, Lu Feng sent himself to Chang'an to perform the mission on the grounds that he observed the sky at night and discovered that a conflict would break out between Li Jiancheng and Li Shimin. But it was daytime at this time. What could he see when he looked at the sky? If in normal times, his lord was so not doing his job at such a critical moment, he would definitely advise Lu Feng to put the overall situation first. But Wei Zheng looked around and found that both the generals Zhao Yun and Lu Buletin, as well as the two counselors Guo Jia and Sun Yu, were all looking at Lu Feng with excitement, and looking up to the sky from time to time. Wei Zheng knew that both Guo Jia and Sun Yu were wise men with strong strategic vision and clear minds. Instead of stopping Lu Feng, they were so excited. There must be a reason. However, Wei Zheng really couldn't guess the reason. He turned to look at Shan Xiangzin, Li Ziyuning, and others. They also looked confused. So Wei Zheng couldn't help but ask, Your Majesty, I wonder what you are looking at when you bring your ministers here. Lu Feng said to Wei Zheng without looking back today, I will let you see what it means. Miracle. Fei Lu reminds you, 3 things to do when reading, collect and recommend. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 543. Miracle. After Wei Zheng and Shan Xiangzin heard Lu Feng's words, they still didn't know anything as before they asked. If he hadn't already learned that Lu Feng's various plans were indeed somewhat magical, he would have even suspected that his lord was they are not stupid. After listening to Lu Feng's words, Li Ziyuning and Chang Sun Wujiao, although they didn't know what kind of medicine Lu Feng was selling in the gourd, they inevitably became a lot of curious. As for Li Yuanba, he was still a 4-dimensional person. The 5-year-old child didn't care about miracles. In his opinion, it was a bit boring to watch the sky here. He might as well let the emperor's brother-in-law fight with him. But he only dared to keep this idea in his heart. And didn't a Euro trademark T dare to say it? After all, he had already guessed that Lufenga Euro trademark's military power was indeed superior to his own. In addition, the most important thing is that the old lady seemed reluctant to call Lufeng brother-in-law. The last time he called her brother-in-law, the elder sister pulled his ears and taught him a lesson for half an hour. Although he was very skilled in martial arts, it was really painful to pull his ears. As for Guojia and others, after hearing Lufeng's words, the smiles on their faces became even stronger. At this time, he was completely sure of what he was thinking. After all, a few months ago, they suddenly descended on this forest. Yes. At this time, Lufeng was finally going to open the door of time and space again and remove the world from his original world. Tens of thousands of Dragon Kingdom troops were brought to this world. After all, Lufeng had said when he first arrived in this world that the 5 dragon generals and more than 20,000 troops were just the vanguard of the Shenlong Empire's campaign in the Sui and Tang world. Because they had previously attacked this world is unfamiliar to him, and he doesn't know where the people he traveled from will appear or how far this world will develop. Therefore, if too many people come, they will inevitably have nowhere to put them in their territory. So Lufeng Zhengzheng, who conquered Yangzhou and Wuxing, said that once the entire Jiangdong is occupied and there is enough territory, the main force of the Shenlong Empire will be transferred immediately to establish a unified dragon kingdom again in this world. Now, the time has come. Just when Wei Zheng and others followed Lufeng's gaze and looked into the sky, trying to find the miracle Lufeng said, suddenly the sky above them began to darken. This situation was very difficult for Wei Zheng and others. It was actually a bit unbelievable, because the darkening sky was not like the whole sky getting dark after sunset, but only a piece of black as big as a city gate appeared above their heads. And this black city gate was not like the night sky. It was generally calm, but on the contrary, from time to time, silent lightning would appear in the city gate. Seeing this strange scene, Li Ziyuning and Chang Sun Wujiao couldn't help but hug each other tightly. Lufeng turned around and saw them with the frightened expressions on their faces, they couldn't help but smile. They walked over and gently hugged the 2 women in their arms. At this time, Li Ziyuning and Chang Sun Wujiao were attracted by the strange sight in front of them. They were interested in Lufeng's. There was no reaction to the movement. Then, under the gaze of everyone, rippling ripples like water waves suddenly appeared in the void of the black city gate, as if someone threw a stone inside and stirred up waves subsequently. A burly man with a helmet and armor, a face like purple jade, and eyes as bright as stars actually walked out of the void gate. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 544. And this person is holding a hook sickle and riding a gray and black war horse. At first glance, he is a rare warrior. After this person appeared, he stepped directly in front of Lufeng. Seeing this scene, Shan Xiangzin, who was not sure why, thought that this person was going to be harmful to Lufeng, so he immediately prepared to step forward to block this person. But before he could reach the front, he saw the general kneeling on one knee and bowing to Lufeng. Your Majesty, Zhang Liao, pay homage to your Majesty, Lu. Feng responded with a smile. Wen Yuan, please come quickly. Get up. After Zhang Liao got up, he saw movement in the void gate again, and then, a man walked out again, a 7'7" tall man with a beautiful beard, holding a steel gun and carrying a big bow. This man came to Lufeng and bowed in the same way. Your Majesty, Tai Shi Ci, see you. After Tai Shi Ci finished speaking, before Lufeng could help him up, he walked out with the 3 of them again and bowed to Lufeng at the same time. I, Su Huang, Zhang He and Gao Shun, pay homage to your Majesty. When Lu Feng saw these people, the smile on his face became even brighter. He helped them up one by one and said, "I have been waiting for so long, and the 5 tigers have finally arrived. After coming to this world, I can accomplish great things." After these 5 people walked out of the void gate, a burst of neat footsteps suddenly came from the city gate, and then, 100,000 troops appeared in the city gate. They walked out of the gate of the void in neat steps, knelt on the ground together, and shouted to Lu Feng, "The army of the Dragon Kingdom pays homage to your majesty, long live my emperor." 100,000 people spoke at the same time, but they only shouted out as soon as they saw this uniform shouting and their uniform steps just now. Wei Zheng and others could tell that these soldiers were definitely elite. Later, Zhang Liao walked to Lu Feng again. "According to your orders, Prime Ministers Zhou Yu and 11's He stayed in the Shenlong Empire to ensure the normal operation of government affairs. Wei Yan, Gan Ning, and others have also been training the army to maintain military combat effectiveness. Everything is well in the Shenlong Empire, please rest assured, Your Majesty." Lu Feng was really happy when he listened to Zhang Liao's report. As for how he answered Zhang Liao, Wei Zheng and Shan Xiangxin didn't hear it at all. They were completely shocked by the scene in front of them. Zhang Liao, Zhang He, Su Huang, these are all the 5 good generals under Cao, the former Emperor Wu of Wei. Thinking of this, Wei Zheng suddenly turned around and looked at Zhao Yun, Ma Chao, and Huang Zhong. He had not thought of it at first, but at this moment, their names rang out. Were they 3 of Liu Bei's 5 tiger generals back then? And whether they were Zhao Yun, Ma Chao, or Huang Zhong, not only did they have the same names as Liu Bei's 5 tiger generals in history, but their weapons, dress, and appearance were also exactly as recorded in history. Consistent. There is also Dian Wei, who was regarded as an ancient evil by Cao. He held 2 halberds and was like an iron tower. He single-handedly blocked Zhang Xiu's army in Wanqing, allowing Cao to escape. After his death, the enemy still did not dare to pass. Isn't a Euro trademark that what Dian Wei looks like in front of you? As for Liu Buletin, he is known as the Flying General, but he is the most powerful general in the Eastern Han Dynasty. Whether it is Fang Tian Huaji or Red Rabbit Horse, they are exactly the same as the one in front of him. Wei Zheng Shan Xiangxin saw these military commanders who should have been thousands of years ago appearing in front of him alive. While he was shocked, he finally understood what Lu Feng's so-called miracle was. Fei. Lu reminds you, 3 things about reading collection, recommendation. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 545. Although Wei Zheng didn't know whether these people were the powerful generals he knew during the 3 Kingdoms period, one thing that was certain was that each of them was one of the generals who could stand alone in today's world. Material. As for the 100,000 troops, although we have not seen them go into battle to kill the enemy, their uniform movements and the momentum they erupted with their powerful shouts are enough to prove that these are elites. Of the elite. For Wei Zheng, Li Ziyuning, and Chang Sun Wujiao, they had all witnessed the battles of Tang soldiers, especially Wei Zheng and Li Ziyuning, and had even personally commanded the Tang army, so they could feel the extraordinary power of this 100,000 strong army. At this time, the soldiers of the 100,000 strong army were all looking at Lu Feng with great admiration. In their hearts, Dragon Emperor Lu Feng was the greatest person in the world. Although they had not seen each other for only a few months, one day was like 3 autumns apart. All the soldiers were worried about the Dragon Emperor almost every day during these months. Although they knew that with the Dragon Emperor's strength and the presence of the 5 dragon generals, no one in the world could hurt him. After all, the Dragon Emperor was going to a brand new world, and they couldn't help but worry. But now when they saw the Dragon Emperor again, they saw that he was indeed safe and sound, and from his conversations with Zhang Liao and others, they knew that the Dragon Emperor had conquered half of the world. Although they knew that the Dragon Emperor was highly skilled in martial arts, that the two prime ministers Guojia and Sunyu were resourceful, and that the 5 dragon generals were all brave and good at fighting, the speed at which they were able to conquer the world in less than a year still shocked them. Therefore, they looked at the Dragon Emperor with reverence. After all, in their own world, it was the chaotic situation in the late Han dynasty of the Dragon Emperor, which also ended the chaotic and corrupt rule of the Han dynasty. The Dragon Emperor is the emperor to whom all dragon descendants share allegiance. He allowed the Dragon Kingdom's land to expand to the entire world, whether it was small places such as Goguryeo and Wadeo, or huge empires such as Rome and Kishan, all became a tributary of the Dragon Kingdom. He made all the descendants of the dragon the masters of the world, and he, the Dragon Emperor, was the guardian of all the descendants of the dragon. Before the Dragon Emperor appeared, some of them were poor people, and although some were soldiers, all of them lived to have a full meal and not starve to death. Perhaps in addition to having enough to eat, their biggest hope is to protect their loved ones so that their parents, wives, and children will not starve to death. But that cruel world and the dark and corrupt officials of the Eastern Han dynasty made it impossible for them to realize their small expectations. Until later, a county lieutenant appeared in the distant Liaodong County. He established Dragon City and led the Dragon City cavalry to kill all the invading foreign races, thus receiving a commendation from the emperor of the Han dynasty. After that, he developed Longcheng into the happiest place in the entire Han dynasty. All the people in Longcheng were able to have enough food and clothing, and even every household had a surplus of food. Just when everyone was envious of the people of Dragon City, this man named Lu Feng became the governor of Liaodong. Later, the entire Liaodong became as prosperous and stable as Dragon City. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 546. Later, he changed from Liaodong governor to Yuzhu, and from Yuzhu Muchan to emperor of Long Kingdom, but no matter how his identity changed, as long as he ruled the place, everyone they can all live and work in peace and contentment and no longer have to worry about eating. And these soldiers, when the Dragon Emperor appeared, were all proud of being soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom. It was the Dragon Emperor who made them understand that as long as all the descendants of the dragon unite, they will definitely become the master of the world. Fight for the descendants of the dragon and kill all the foreign races. Whether they are the dwarfs of the Japanese pirates or the barbarians with yellow hair and blue eyes in Rome, they must become slaves at the feet of the Han people. It was the Dragon Emperor who taught them this truth, and it was also the Dragon Emperor who led them along the way to achieve this goal. At this time, Lu Feng finished greeting Zhang Liao, Su Huang, and everyone in the 5 tigers, and said to the 100,000 troops who were still kneeling on one knee, "You all, please get up." "Thank you, Your Majesty." After receiving Lu Feng's order, the 100,000 strong army once again demonstrated their extremely high combat qualities, and responded to Lu Feng in unison. At the same time, they stood up in the same uniform manner. Afterwards, Lu Feng said to the 100,000 strong army officers and soldiers. He said slowly, "Fellow soldiers, I know that you have come all the way from our Shenlong Empire, and you must be a little tired at this time, so you should rest temporarily. However, the enemies of the Dragon Kingdom in this world are already preparing to attack us from the north to the south. Therefore, I must not sit still and wait for death. I need your help. I wonder if you are willing to follow me and march north to kill Li Tang's enemies, liberate all the descendants of the dragon in this world, and let the flag of the Dragon Kingdom spread to every land in the world." Lu Feng's words were extremely contagious, not only mobilizing all the soldiers, but also igniting the fire of battle in their hearts. Then, Wei Zheng and others heard a chorus of shouts in their ears, "Your Majesty! I will follow His Majesty to the death and fight for the Dragon Kingdom. Everyone was shouting with all their strength. 100,000 people were shouting in unison, which even made Wei Zhang feel that his brother was feeling depressed, as if he had been hit hard by a heavy hammer. At this time, he finally understood that deafening what does it mean. After receiving the shouts from the Dragon Kingdom's 100,000 troops, Lu Feng nodded with satisfaction and said with a smile, "Very good, you are worthy of being our Dragon Kingdom soldiers. Everyone is good. Then, Lu Feng turned to look at Wei Zhang, who was still standing there with a look of disbelief on his face, and asked Prime Minister Wei, "How are you preparing the food and grass that I asked you to prepare a few days ago?" Wei Zhang was still thinking about the army that appeared out of thin air and such a miracle. When he heard Lu Feng's question, he suddenly came back to his senses. He cupped his hands and said to Lu Feng, "Go back to your Majesty, the food and grass are already here. It is ready and can be transported to the front line with the army at any time." Lu Feng nodded with satisfaction, and then said, "Okay, Suen Ken's work really makes me feel at ease. Now that everything is ready, I will appoint Ma Chao and Zhao Yun as the vanguard, and lead the Dragon City Cavalry and Bama Yi from tomorrow to go north to attack Chang'an. Wei Zheng and Sun Yu, you two will lead 200,000 Sui troops to guard the rear, and Gao Shun will lead the camp to provide military support." Shan Xiangxin was the grain escort officer and commanded 50,000 Yangzhou troops who were specifically responsible for the transportation of grain and grass. "The rest of you will go to Chang'an with me. Feeler reminds you, 3 things to do when reading, collect and recommend. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 547. After Lu Feng finished appointing everyone bowed in unison. "If you obey the decree, you will live up to your Majesty's high expectations." Lu Feng did not respond to this, but just nodded. "Let everyone disperse." Those who came from afar took the time to rest and prepare for tomorrow's expedition. The rest also went back to prepare for the expedition. Shan Xiangxin and Wei Zheng went to prepare food and grass together. After all, the 3 armies went ahead without using food and grass. Food is the most important thing in marching and fighting. Without food and grass, no matter how powerful the army is, it will be defeated. However, although the position of grain keeper is very important, it is actually a sinecure. After all, when the 2 armies are fighting, the grain and fodder routes must be focused and hidden. Without a traitor to inform, it is almost impossible to be detected by the enemy. So this means that the grain officer has almost no chance to fight with the enemy, but once he does, it is very likely to change the trend of the war. It's okay to win, but if he loses, his army will be completely defeated. Therefore, the task of transporting food is idle and almost no credit is earned. The victory of the army is the credit of the soldiers who went to battle and fought hard. It has nothing to do with you. If you lose, you will still be the defeated general. If you are robbed of food, even if you don't die, he will also be punished. It can be said that this is a thankless position, so many people are not willing to serve as grain security officers. For example, when the 18th Root princes attacked Dongzhou, Yuan Shu was unhappy because he was appointed as the grain keeper, so he deliberately withheld grain and grass. As a result, Sun Jian was defeated by Hua Xiong and General Ziu Mao was defeated. However, Shan Xiangxin was not dissatisfied with Lu Feng's arrangement, and was even a little excited. Of course, this is not because Shan Xiangxin avoids doing this less stressful job. After all, Li Yuan has a brother-killing grudge against him. Although Li Yuan has been pulled down by Li Jiancheng, the hatred between him and Li Tang will not be let go. Therefore, he would seek refuge with Lu Feng and use the power of the Dragon Kingdom to help him avenge his brother's murder. The reason why he was happy to serve as a grain keeper was because everyone who could serve as a grain keeper must be someone trusted by the Lord. After all, Food and grass are definitely more important to an army than the number of soldiers and horses. No matter how many people there are, they cannot win the battle without enough food and grass. Even if there are few people, as long as there is enough food and grass, it is possible to defeat the opponent through a war of attrition. Therefore, in order to ensure the safety of the food and fodder for his army, the army commander will inevitably choose someone who is adequate, responsible, and absolutely trustworthy to be in charge of the food and fodder. Therefore, for Shan Xiangxin, who had just arrived and had not yet made any achievements, Lu Feng's ability to entrust him with the important task of grain security officer was enough to show his trust in him. As for going into battle to kill the enemy, ever since Zhang Liao and others got the gate of time and space, he knew that every general under Lu Feng was a top general in the Three Kingdoms period. If it were a pure duel, he might not be able to defeat the 5 dragon generals, but he would still have the power to fight against the people ranked lower among the 5 tigers. However, marching and fighting is not a fierce battle in the arena, but requires sufficient strategy and familiarity with the art of war, so that you can be invincible. This aspect happens to be your own weakness, and it is also the strength of Zhang Liao and others. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 548. Therefore, even if he did not serve as a grain officer but went on an expedition with Lu Feng, he would inevitably be under the leadership of a certain general, and he would not necessarily get much credit. Therefore, serving as a grain security officer can actually be regarded as a preferential treatment given to him by Lu Feng. Shan Xiangxin had no objection to the grain guard, and Wei Zheng and Sun Yu naturally had no objection to staying in Yangzhou. After all, Sun Yu has been guarding the rear base camp for Lu Feng since he was in the original world. This is Lu Feng's trust in him, and it is also what he is good at. Wei Zheng's abilities are similar to Sun Yu's. Although he is not weak in military strategy, he is better at government affairs. Lu Feng's arrangement can be said to have put him in the best position, so he is naturally happy. The only general among the generals who did not go on the expedition with Lu Feng was Gao Shun, who ranked last among the 5 tigers. Gao Shun was originally only a second-rate general when he surrendered to Lu Feng, but now with the mini Golden Dragon of Luck, the training of the Dragon Kingdom soldiers has increased rapidly, and now he has reached the pinnacle of a first-rate general. Although compared to Zhang Liao and Taishi Ci, who are already peerless generals, as well as Su Huang and Super General Zhang He, who are one step away from the peerless realm, he still has the lowest strength. Even Gan Ning and Zhou Tai have more strength than him. Hi! But Gao Shun was able to be shortlisted for the 5 tigers. What he relied on was never force, but his ability to lead and train troops. Just like the trap camp under him had expanded from 800 to 3,000, and Gao Shun trained them into 6th-level troops by relying solely on his own training ability without using a job transfer order. As for the heavy infantry, the trapped camp has some overlap with the dragon soldiers, and their attack power is not as strong as the dragon soldiers, so it is best to use them to defend the city. Moreover, Yangzhou is the dragon kingdom in this world camp, and its importance is self-evident. Gao Shun also knows this very well, so he has no doubts about Lu Feng's order to arrange for him to defend the city. In fact, Lu Feng was able to achieve such great achievements from a small governor of Xiaodong, establishing the Dragon Kingdom in 2 different worlds, and the Dragon Kingdom in one of the worlds has unified the whole world. This is not just because of his transformation. Job Hall is a plug-in. Judging from the arrangements and appointments of Lu Feng's opponents and generals in the attack on Li Tang this time, it can be seen that he made the best use of everyone's talents and put everyone in their best position. This was also the key to his success. On the way back to Yangzhou City, Lu Feng specifically said to Li Yuanba and Li Ziyuning, I will go to Chang'an tomorrow. You two should go with me. I promised to help you kill Li Jiancheng. Once I say it, I must say now it's time for me to fulfill my promise. After listening to Lu Feng's words, Li Yuanba was okay, as long as he could fight, he would be satisfied, but Li Ziyuning suddenly became excited. How could she not know that the reason Lu Feng said this specifically was to win their hearts? But the thought of immediately avenging her second brother and rescuing her father made her feel excited. Early the next morning, following Lu Feng's order, Zhao Yun and Ma Chao took the lead in setting off with their own cavalry and 100,000 Yangzhou troops as the vanguard. Feeler reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 549. Then Lu Feng led everyone, plus 100,000 Dragon Kingdom troops and 200,000 surrendered troops from various forces as the main force, followed closely. On the road from Yangzhou to Chang'an, due to Li Yuanji's previous defeat and retreat to Lucca, the Dragon Kingdom army had an unobstructed journey until they arrived at Lucca, and encountered almost no resistance. During the march, Guojia once again played his role as Lu Feng's mastermind and came up with a clever plan for the Dragon Kingdom army. Before arriving at Lucca, Guojia found Lu Feng and said to him, "Your Majesty, according to the reports from the scouts, Emperor Li Jiancheng of the Tang dynasty has led an army of nearly 1 million people to the south." Jia thought that at this time he would bring millions with the army brought out. The defense of the Tang dynasty, especially Chang'an, will be empty. If we can send an elite team to go to Chang'an and capture the Tang dynasty, Li Jianquan's army will be defeated. Lu Feng listened to Guojia's suggestion. He smiled and said, "Guo Feng Xiao is really full of tricks. Although our Dragon Kingdom's 100,000 troops have arrived now, it would be better if we can win more easily. Let's do this. The army will stop here to rest for 2/4 of an hour. Then Feng Xiao, you personally lead Zilong and Meng Qi's vanguard troops to bypass Lucca and go to Chang'an after." Lu Feng finished speaking. He thought for a moment and then spoke again, "Transfer Zi to your side as well. After all, Zilong and Meng Qi both command cavalry and are not good at siege. Now Zi's Qin Rui soldiers can fight Zhao Biankai when they are mounted, and they can defeat Wei soldiers when they are dismounted. If they are allowed to lead the siege, Chang'an will not be broken." Difficult. Guojia knew that even if Lu Feng gave Taishasai and his Qin to him, he would still have many talents under his command. With the 2 great killers Li Yuanba and Lu Buletin, there was no need to worry about the Tang army. So for Lu Feng, regarding Guojia's generous gift, Guo also said unambiguously, "Since His Majesty said so, it would be disrespectful for Jia to reject it. Just wait and hear the good news from Jia from Chang'an regarding Guojia's talk." Lu Feng, it was no wonder that after joking with him for a few words, Guojia got up and left, quietly taking Taishasai to catch up with the 100,000 vanguard army led by Zhao Yun and Ma Chao in front. Later, after Guojia explained his and Lu Feng's plan to the 3 of them, he took them away from the original marching route, bypassed Lucca and took a long way to Chang'an. On the other side, after Guojia and others left, Lu Feng also brought the remaining 200,000 Dragon Kingdom's main army, as well as the Dragon Kingdom's main generals such as Lu Buletin, Dian Wei, Huang Zhong, Zhang Liaozhang, He and Su Huang, as well as Li Yuanba and Li Ziyuning met the main force of Datang at Lucca. Li Jianquan's hundreds of thousands of troops have already arrived at Lucca, and have joined Li Yuanji's remaining troops. There are still 1 million troops in total, and they are in formation at Lucca, waiting for the arrival of the Dragon Kingdom. In fact, when he just joined Li Yuanji, Li Jiancheng wanted to continue southward with the power of 1 million troops to fight Lu Feng's main force, but he was stopped by Fang Xianling and other accompanying military advisors. Since Li Jiancheng also sent a large number of scouts during the march, they had also learned that Lu Feng was heading north with an army of 300,000 people, preparing for a duel with the Tang dynasty. Fang Xianling, Du Ruhui and others learned from Li Yuanji's battle with the Dragon Kingdom in the past month that although the Dragon Kingdom did not have many troops, all of its generals were brave enough to be worthy of any man. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei Lu Xiao. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 550. Needless to say, Zhao Yun, Lu Buletin, Dian Wei and others were able to defeat Wu Yunzhao and Tai with Yuan Chengdu to prove their strength, but they are not the strongest combat power in the Dragon Kingdom. The Dragon Emperor Lu Feng, who has always been secretive, is the most powerful person in the Dragon Kingdom. He can even fight Li Yuanba on his own without falling behind. If Lu Feng hadn't been holding Li Yuanba back in single combat, Li Yuanji's army would have used Li Yuanba's power to kill all the Dragon Kingdom soldiers and break through Yangzhou city. Precisely because they learned that the Dragon Kingdom had so many generals and that Li Yuanba had defected to the Dragon Kingdom, Fang Xianling, Du Ruhui and Su Mogong all firmly opposed Datang's initiative to engage in field battles with the Dragon Kingdom. After all, one Li Yuanba would be difficult to resist. They still had so many generals who were only slightly worse than Li Yuanba. If they really took the initiative, if the army was chased by Li Yuanba outside the city, there wouldn't even be a place where they could hold on. Therefore, the best way to fight against the Dragon Kingdom is to occupy Lucca and have a city to defend, so that you can use the power of the city to resist fierce generals such as Li Yuanba and Lu Feng. Although Li Jiancheng wanted to go to Yangzhou in one go, kill Lu Feng, and dominate the world, he was not a man without plans. On the contrary, Li Jiancheng had his own understanding of the art of war. He knew that what Du Ruhui and others said was the way to win, and once he followed his own ideas and was penetrated by Li Yuanba and Lu Feng in the open area, he would not be able to escape defeat even if he had 1,000,000 troops. Therefore, at this time, Li Jiancheng was standing on the city wall at the entrance, staring at the Dragon Kingdom army not far away. As he observed more and more carefully, his brows gradually furrowed. Although because the distance was too far, he could not Corporal Lu Feng was clearly seen, but judging from the speed and orderliness of the opponent's march, at least half of Long Kingdom's army, which seemed to have a strength of 100,000 troops, were absolutely elite. Although Li Jiancheng knew at a glance that there were 100,000 soldiers among them, they must be surrendered troops captured by Lu Feng from the Sui dynasty, Chu state, Liang state, and other places, and they were not something to be afraid of, but the other 100,000 troops were obviously difficult to deal with. Whether it is their neat marching pace or their high-spirited temperament, there is no doubt that these people are definitely the direct troops of Lu Feng of the Dragon Kingdom. Li Jiancheng said to Li Yuanji behind him without looking back, "Didn't I say that there are only 20,000 elite troops in the direct line of the Dragon Kingdom? Why do so many suddenly appear now? When did they appear?" Li Yuanji looked away. The Dragon Kingdom's army in the distance, having fought with Lu Feng for more than half a month, he naturally knew the temperament of the Dragon Kingdom's direct troops. It was obvious that at least 100,000 people in the army under the city were Lu Feng's direct troops. Li Yuanji felt chilled when he thought that Lu Feng only brought 6,000 cavalry and killed his 300,000 troops and fled, losing 60,000 to 70,000 people. 6,000 people have such a powerful fighting force, so how can they resist these 100,000 people? Moreover, he had been fighting Lu Feng for so long, and he indeed only had more than 20,000 troops, of which 5,000 were stationed in Wuxing. He could actually mobilize only more than 10,000. Facing Li Jiancheng's question, not only Li Yuanji couldn't answer it, but all officials of the Tang dynasty couldn't answer it. Although they sent out many scouts, they were all eliminated by Guoqia. _Filu reminds you, 3 things about reading, collecting and recommending.